Most people think probiotics are just for digestion, gut health, but specific bacteria in your gut can have a powerful effect on the rest of your body, on your metabolism, on your immune system, and even on how your brain functions. Here's the key. Not all probiotics can do this. Not all probiotics are the same. You ever go to a drugstore, a huge wall of probiotics, it's really hard to know what to choose. I want to talk about 3 specific healthy bacteria that you can get as probiotics, 39 trillion out there. 3 are standouts that I want to talk about today because they've been studied in humans with beneficial effects. This is not nice to have. This could be must-have, could be a difference between life and death. Let's start by talking a little bit about bacteria, because when I went to medical school, I was taught that bacteria are bad because bacteria cause disease. Well, it turns out that most of the bacteria we encounter in our lives are beneficial, and these bacteria are partly responsible for our health. And more than a century ago, a Nobel Prize-winning scientist named Ilya Miknikov observed that people who were eating fermented foods like yogurt specifically, he was looking at Bulgarian monks who seemed to get really, really old and healthy all at the same time they lived longer, healthier lives. He proposed that the reason that they were able to live longer and healthier is because they were eating beneficial bacteria in their yogurt, and that was responsible for their longevity. So that there's a little bit of history, goes way back. All right, but modern science gives us an explanation of what might be going on. So let's talk about that, because we can now identify specific strains among those 39 trillion bacteria. We're just at the tip of the iceberg, where we're beginning to identify specific strains that can be beneficial. And once we know strains, we can grow them up, we can study them in the lab, and we can also study their effects in humans as well, particularly when you can actually make the bacteria into probiotics. That's really important. This is an entirely new frontier of modern medical research looking at the microbiome. Now, from all this, we're learning something really important, which is that not all probiotics are the same. You ever go to a drugstore or a health food store and you look at a huge wall of probiotics, it's really hard to know what to choose. And they're all different. The strain's the dose, how it's manufactured, okay? And whether it's been studied in humans. These are all factors that are very important to consider when you're trying to identify a probiotic that you want to take. Does it have a meaningful effect, all right? And just like any product you want to put inside your body, quality matters. You want to know that you want something that's high quality before you actually put it inside your body. So if you're considering probiotics, okay, it's very important to understand something about the bacteria. Are you getting the bacteria? The healthy bacteria that's in there, it's important to know the manufacturer. Does the group, does the company making or selling this probiotic, do they have a good reputation? Are they transparent about how they actually produce this probiotic? Have they had a warning issued to them from the FDA? These are really important things from a safety perspective. And then knowing the bacteria, knowing the quality of the manufacturer, you want to know, does it work? Is there any clinical evidence that it works? This is what I always go for. I look for the human evidence. So let's take a look at 3 specific bacteria with benefits that I'm going to call out on this video. Are you ready? Let's go. First bacteria that you can get as a probiotic is called Akkermansia. You've probably heard me talk about this one before. The full name of the bacteria is Akkermansia mucosinophilia. Now, this is a healthy bacteria that naturally grows in our gut, our lower gut, okay? And it's a pretty newly discovered bacteria. Honestly, scientists only discovered it in 2004, all right? So it's a recent breakthrough. We're still learning what this healthy bacteria does. But here's what we do know. Akkermansia lives in your colon. That's the lower part of your gut. It lives right alongside the lining of your intestines, and it feeds on a normal, healthy layer of mucus that your gut produces. Now, why does your gut produce mucus? You want to slide food and digested food stool right smoothly down through your gut. So there's normally mucus there. Akkermansia lives there and feeds on this mucus. Now, what does the mucus do? The mucus actually protects the barrier of your gut lining. And this is really important. When the bacteria eat the mucus, a signal for your gut to produce more mucus. More mucus means more protection. So this is one of the many rules of Akkermansia. It helps to protect your gut barrier. Now, why is gut barrier important? Well, think about it. The gut is like a garden hose, okay? It's a tube, and inside that hose is all your digested food, ultimately turns into poop. Right now, imagine like a garden hose, whatever you're putting in through the garden hose, the water is going to go all the way through and sprayed out the other end like our gut does, all right? But imagine if the lining of the garden hose wasn't intact, meaning you actually had leaky garden hose. Let's say you took a nail and you punctured lots of hole in the garden hose. Now, what's going to happen when you put fluid through it? Stuff's going to leak out, right? Same as the deal as a gut. If you have leaky gut, the cells that are keeping the integrity, the lining of your gut tight, actually loosen up. You got holes in it. What happens? stuff leaks out. When stuff leaks out of your gut, particularly your lower gut, think about that. That's digested food on its way to becoming stool feces. That's really bad because it leaks out into the cavity of your body called the abdomen, the peritoneum, that causes inflammation. So leaky gut, which is very uncomfortable. All right, many people experience this actually is a really terrible thing that sets up for chronic inflammation. So acromantia, one of the very important things it does, it eats the mucus, it lives in the colon, eats mucus, that your gut normally produces and gut responds by making more mucus, which protects the gut lining. No gut leakage means low or no inflammation. The other thing acromancy does is actually communicates with your immune system. 70% of your immune system actually lives inside the wall of your gut, inside the wall of that garden hose. So in addition to helping to keep the gut sealed tight, acromancy helps to support and activate your immune system. And this is turning out to be very important in the fight against cancer because your immune system plays a pivotal role in healthy days when you don't have cancer. It's actually conducting surveillance, is patrolling your body like a cop on a beat, patrolling a quiet neighborhood. Make sure everything is fine and looking if there's any signs of trouble. Okay, trouble in this case in your body are cancer cells, microscopic cancer cells that might be growing and lurking around acromancy. Talks to your immune system and helps your immune system conduct that surveillance to look for the bad guys. Okay, very important. And by the way, when you actually need your immune system ramped up against cancer, acromantia plays a role as well. I'm going to talk about that in just 1 second. But first, can you grow your own acromantia? The answer is yes. Acromantia thrives when you eat certain foods that contain polyphenols called L-agitanins. These L-agitanins, which you find pomegranates, Concord grapes, cranberries, and walnuts, for example. Okay, food is medicine. These L-agitanins help prompt your gut to secrete more mucus, which the acromantia eats, which then stimulates more mucus, which protects the gut and feeds more acromantia. Okay, and basically this is one way that you can grow your own acromantia. You can eat foods that will support it. Now, how did acromantia enter really the limelight? Well, it's basically from cancer researchers, and the research on acromantia cancer is literally jaw-dropping. In fact, when I heard it, my jaw dropped. One of the world's leading researchers on this, Dr. Laurent Zipogel in Paris at the Institut Gustave Roussy, was studying cancer patients being treated with immunotherapy. This is not chemo. These are cancer treatments that rely on your own immune system, activate your own immune system to go after the cancer. So it's you treating you in a way. It's kind of the most natural way to defend and treat cancer. And what she found is that those patients, cancer patients who had higher levels of acromantia in their gut, were more likely to respond to treatment. Okay, and those who didn't have any acromantia were unlikely to respond. Right. So this is not nice to have. This could be must-have. Could be a difference between life and death. What type of immunotherapies, for those of you who are interested in this specific immunotherapies, have been studied called checkpoint inhibitors. All right, immune checkpoint inhibitors. It's a class of immunotherapy. I will do a separate video about immunotherapies at some point. But again, acromantia is a critical gut bacteria that helps our body, our immune system ramp itself up so that when you get immunotherapy, specifically checkpoint inhibitors, it helps your immune system go after the cancer. Really important. We're not done yet with acromancy. Acromancy does another thing. It affects your metabolism in a beneficial way. It produces short-chain fatty acids called propionate. That's one of the short-chain fatty acids, or SCAFAs, produces this metabolite. And guess what that gets converted into? Another metabolite called butyrate. And butyrate is really important, butyrate in your gut, okay? Which is made from propionate, which is made by acromantia, all right? Which you can grow by eating foods that feed it, okay? Or you can get a probiotic that will actually do that. The butyrate actually stimulates your body's own GLP-1. Now, you've heard of GLP-1. It's a hormone that regulates appetite, helps natural weight loss, and also can help blood sugars normalize. So acromantia actually can help your body produce its own natural GLP-1. Same pathway that is controlled by medications like Ompic and Goy, the GLP-1 agonist, but your body can activate this pathway in its home. Not the same way or the same potency as a drug, but acromantia does the job by itself. Now, food is medicine, so you know that you can eat these foods: pomegranates, Concord grapes, dried cranberries. I say dried cranberries because whole fresh cranberries are really, really tart. You're probably not going to want to do it unless you add a ton of sugar to it, and I don't recommend that. But dried cranberries, easy to eat. Then you get the dietary fiber as well. And walnuts, ways to grow your acromantia. But you can also have acromancy through a probiotic, because recently the manufacturers like Pendulum have found a way to create this very difficult to grow healthy gut bacteria called Acromat. I could put it into a probiotic pill. I actually take it myself, but I also take the food as medicine part to actually amplify things as well. Most people don't realize how specific the microbiome really is and how much it can influence your metabolism, your immune defenses, your cancer defenses, and even your brain function. So if you want to understand how to use the science, subscribe to my channel, because this is exactly what I break down here: how gut, bacteria, and food as medicine can be useful for your overall health and longevity.